हेलो स्टार्ट करें ओके ओके फ्रेंड्स वेलकम बैक एंड coming to our next question, another question I believe can be asked in the examination is present a classification of models used in geography. A classification of models which have been used in geography or which are used in geography. So number of, if you look into the feed book, I have given number of models, type of models. इस सबको मैं कुछ सिंपलर कैटेगरीज में कैटेगराइज कर देता हूँ. So in this answer what we will do, I'm not giving time for this one because it is a more information specific question. So we can, in the introduction we can start with what the models are. Like for example यहाँ पर भी देख सकते हो एक introduction लिखा हुआ है, complexity of geographical landscapes and geographical situations is such that models are of particular importance in studying geography. A large number of models have been designed, adopted and applied by geographers. So this can be our introduction, and then what we'll do, because it is a very straightforward question and it is saying present a classification of models used in geography. So I'll simply present the classification of models. So I'll come to main body of my answer and directly I will provide a heading, classification of models used in geography. Classification of models used in geography. So first type of models which have been very commonly used in geography is the physical analog and scale models. Physical analog and scale models. So नाम से ही पता चल रहा है, एनालॉग का मतलब it is trying to simulate something, simulate reality. ठीक है, it is analogy of the reality. And scale model, that means here what we are essentially doing, we generally tend to reduce the scale of what the reality is. ठीक है, so what are these physical analog scale models? These are, एक line लिख लो इसमें, these are physical systems whose observable behavior or form, observable behavior and or form or both. Form means how they look. ठीक है, so observable behavior or form or both are are in some way analogous to those of actual system of interest, analogous to those of actual system of interest or the actual phenomena that we are studying. So such type of models are the physical analog and the scale models. ठीक है, now अगर हम अब इसके examples की बात करें तो you can understand that such type of models have been very frequently used in physical geography. Such models have been very frequently used in physical geography. For example, such models have been very much utilized in the channel morphology studies. ठीक है, for example, tell me, can we say when we are studying a canal system, Can we say that it is a physical analog of a river or a stream? ठीक है. So it is a, for example, a canal is a physical analog of a river or a stream. So what is essentially being done in such models? The scale is reduced, and we try to ultimately do what? We try to predict what would be the future outcomes on the basis of that. So what essentially will be taking place in reality? Several such type of models have been used. For example, models which are used to study the impact of sea level rise in the coastal areas. ठीक है, for example, such models have been used to study the impact of sea level rise on the coastal areas. What is the utility of such models? They help us in prediction. They help us in prediction of the possible future responses, of the possible future responses. इसके कई एग्जाम्पल्स हो सकते हैं. लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल, वन एनालॉग मॉडल्स विच हैव बीन, फिजिकल एनालॉग मॉडल्स विच हैव बीन क्रिएटेड हैव बीन the models to study climate change behavior. Models to study climate change. And such models have been how created? They have been created on the basis of, they have been created on the basis of the past periods of Earth history. Past periods of Earth history when greenhouse gases concentration was higher than it is now. Okay, so this is one category of models which is essentially used. Then second category of models are conceptual models. ठीक है. अब स्केल मॉडल्स में एक और एग्जांपल अगर लिखना है तो टेल मी, कैन वी से मैप इज एन एग्जांपल ऑफ अ स्केल मॉडल? ठीक है. सो वन ऑफ द वेरी गुड एग्जांपल ऑफ अ स्केल मॉडल इज अ मैप, एंड मैप्स यू नो आर with respect to scale. ठीक है. Now coming to conceptual models. तो conceptual models क्या होते हैं? जो हम statements बहुत सारे पढ़ते हैं, जो theories पढ़ते हैं, they are basically also what? They are conceptual models. ठीक है. So इसमें लिख लो, a conceptual model is an abstract representation. Is an abstract representation designed to articulate the processes operating in a system of interest. System of interest. It may take narrative form, or use words to describe the system at hand. ठीक है. सो दैट इज कंसेप्चुअल मॉडल, जहां पर हम कुछ स्टेटमेंट्स यूज कर रहे हैं टू डिस्क्राइब व्हाट इज द रियलिटी इज. वी आर यूजिंग वर्ड्स. Geographers in particular, what they have done, they have also used graphical representations. Geographers in particular have used graphical representations to formulate such conceptual models. To formulate such conceptual models. For example, tell me, have we drawn just now, abhi thodi der pehle, were we trying to draw a conceptual model? This was essentially what? A kind of conceptual model. या फिर एक दूसरा एग्जाम्पल लेते हैं, यहाँ पर जो आंसर में लिखना है तो उसको बना सकते हो. लाइक all of you have studied about the heat budget of the earth. So heat budget of the earth is essentially what? It is a conceptual model. So here is the land surface, there is the atmosphere. So some of the energy is coming directly and is being absorbed by the land surface. Some of this energy is getting reflected. Some of the energy is being absorbed by the atmosphere. Some of it is also getting reflected. Then there is other forms of energy, like for example evaporation. There is conduction and convection. Through that energy is entering in the atmosphere. There is third way, radiations. Atmosphere is also radiating energy towards the earth surface. Some radiations are directly going into the space. Okay. So when I am drawing this, essentially what I am doing, I am drawing a conceptual model. ठीक है. बट इस कंसेप्चुअल मॉडल में एक प्रॉब्लम है. ठीक है. व्हाट इज दिस प्रॉब्लम इन दिस कंसेप्चुअल मॉडल? Can we say कि what here I am saying, when I am trying to apply this model, suppose we are talking about earth, can we say the approximation will be very poor? ठीक है. Approximation will be quite poor. And to solve this, can I say कि यहां पर मैं numbers दे सकता हूं? Yes or no? Can I give numbers, like for example 50 units out of 100 units are being absorbed by the earth's surface. ठीक है. Around 30 units is the albedo which is reflected back. ठीक है. Around 20 units are absorbed by the atmosphere. So I can give the numbers. So very frequently geographers have done what? To make sure that the approximation with the reality is better, they have complemented the conceptual models with which type of models? Mathematical models. ठीक है. Mathematical models. So essentially mathematical models क्या होते हैं? These are models that use formal equations, to represent the relationships among system components. To represent the relationship among system components. Comma, their conditions and the rate of change taking place. Rate of change taking place. अब mathematical models can be also various types, and if you talk about, there is one type, empirical statistical models. empirical statistical models. For example, in empirical statistical models के example क्या हो सकते हैं? Can we say the gravity models which have been used? They are basically an example of empirical statistical models where you are simply using a formula to describe. Like similarly, primate city classification. It is another example of what? It is another example of such modeling. ठीक है, so that is empirical statistical model. Then there is deductive deterministic models. Deductive deterministic models. ठीक है, like for example, tell me, there is von Thunen model. So von Thunen model deterministic deductive model है, which also uses a formula of land rent. बाद में पढ़ेंगे. ठीक है, so that is an example of a deductive deterministic model. So various forms of mathematical modeling has also been done. So that is one. अब ये जितने भी हमने यहाँ पर जो ज़्यादातर जो मॉडल्स बताए हैं, these models are mostly focusing upon the objective reality of the world. ठीक है, so in recent times a fourth kind of modeling has also emerged, and this is the normative deductive models. Normative deductive models. So ये normative deductive models क्या है? These are models which came into practice with the development of behavioral approach. Behavioral approach in geography. So what these normative deductive models try to do? They try to study the norms of behavior, norms of or behaviors of people, and on the basis of that, what they do, they deduce generalizations. Deduce generalizations. इसके बहुत सारे examples हैं. Like for example, the hazard studies model done by Kate. So that is basically the example of a normative deductive model. ये बाद में सब आएगा. तो उसमें केट क्या करता है? साइमन के जो बिहेवियरल assumptions हैं, it uses that how people are satisfiers, how they can only observe part of the reality, and ultimately on the basis of that he tries to formulate that how people react to the hazards, what is their behavior towards the hazards. Similarly एक मॉडल हम बाद में पढ़ेंगे, Huff's model of mobility. So Huff's model of mobility is a behavioral model. इसको हम पढ़ेंगे sphere of influence जब पढ़ेंगे cities का, तो there we will see that this is one of the models which has been presented to essentially study the sphere of influence of the cities. ठीक है, so various types of models जो होते हैं, they are, you should know about them. इसके इन सबके और ज़्यादा detailed explanation के साथ text is given. ठीक है, आई हैव गिवन इट सो दैट सपोज किसी एक टर्म पे आता है तो यू आर एबल टू राइट इट, सो यू हैव टू जस्ट गो थ्रू दैट. नाउ इसी के बेसिस पर क्वेश्चन नंबर 3 पर आते हैं. क्रिटिकली एग्जामिन द रेलेवेंस ऑफ मॉडल्स इन डेवलपमेंट ऑफ ज्योग्राफिकल थ्योरी. अब देखो एक और चीज, अभी जो हमने मॉडल का क्लासिफिकेशन पढ़ा उसके बेसिस पर अगर मैं यहां पर क्वेश्चन नंबर 2 को देखूं, क्रिटिकली एनालाइज एप्लीकेशन ऑफ मॉडल्स इन ज्योग्राफी. ठीक है, टेल मी, नॉर्मली जब हम मॉडल्स की बात करते हैं So it comes to our mind that the model use of models in geography started with quantitative revolution. Yes or no? But जो अभी हमने classification of models देखा है, can we say models were always used in geography? Yes or no? They were always being used in geography. Maps, for example, अभी हमने देखा, it is one of the scale models. And it can be seen that it was used even in the Greco-Roman period of geography development. ठीक है? So again, उससे हमें हमारी understanding better हो जाती है with respect to understanding the question. Coming back to our question, critically examine the relevance of models in development of geographical theory. So I'll give you 2 minutes. Think. Okay. So the question is asking critically examine the relevance of models in development of geographical theory. So that means we should know कि कह सकते हैं इस क्वेश्चन को मैं थोड़ा सा रीडिफाइन करूं तो कैन आई से दिस क्वेश्चन इज आस्किंग अ सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ मॉडल particularly linking it with how it helps in theory development. This is what the basic question is asking. So I can start with an introduction and I can simply say something like this. Models represent a bridge between observational and theoretical levels. Observational and theoretical levels. Full stop. They are concerned with simplification, reduction, concretization, extension, globalization of the observed phenomena. of the observed phenomena. Full stop. Thus, they play important role in theory building. Important role in theory building. तो देखो अब when I'm writing the main body, in this I will write my answer from two perspectives. One, एक general utility of the models, theory making से link करेंगे, and then I will do what? I will write more specific examples of that. ठीक है, अब specific examples में अभी क्या हमने did we talk about some types of models? Can we make this as framework of how physical analog scale models can help in theory building? What is the problem related with that? Because it is critically examined, question में है, ठीक है. Conceptual models, how they are helping and how, what are the practical problems that we face, and mathematical models and what is the problems related with that. ठीक है. So इस तरह से what I will be doing, I'll be writing from two perspectives. So general में अगर मैं लिख रहा हूं तो कुछ points लिख सकता हूं. Like for example, I can say, I can write one of the main function of model, one of the main function of model is psychological. One of the main functions of the model is psychological, as it enables some group of phenomena to be visualized and comprehended. To be visualized and comprehended. As the actual reality might be bigger and complex. Bigger and complex. So एक example लेते हैं. Suppose if we look into the case of Delhi, ठीक है. So in Delhi there is Connaught Place, ठीक है. Connaught Place का एक extension है which we can say is the Chandni Chowk area, ठीक है. And then what we will be finding, यहाँ पर एक river है, there is an inner ring road, there is an outer ring road, ठीक है. Now tell me, Delhi has a very complex structure, but if I have a model, concentric zone model, ठीक है, does it helps in comprehending the reality? Yes or no? ठीक है. So with the concentric zone model, what we can do? We can comprehend the reality. What does this inner ring road tells us? Does it tells us that the city has grown from a center outwards in all direction? ठीक है. So the model, what is the utility of the model? It is helping me to understand a complex reality. अगर ये model नहीं होता तो what I would have done, I wouldn't have been able to comprehend the reality in the same manner. ठीक है. So this is basically what, this is the psychological role of the model, and thus what it does, it helps in building of theories, generalizations. Second, models also play acquisitive role. Also play acquisitive role. acquisitive role in that they allow a framework wherein information may be defined, collected, and ordered. Information may be defined, collected, and ordered. ठीक है. So what it is doing, it is helping me in organization of the information as well. Which information is to be included and which information is to be excluded. So if I have model, I will be able to finalize that, and the information or the geographical information would make a better sense of it. So आगे लिखो, thus models help in better organization of the geographical data and also help in getting maximum fertility or maximum amount of information squeezed out of the given data. अब इसी एग्जाम्पल में अगर हम देखें तो देर आर सो मेनी रोड्स इन दिल्ली. अगर हम एक्चुअल मैप में देखें तो देर आर सो मेनी रोड्स, बट व्हाई वी हैव फोकस्ड मोस्टली ऑन द रिंग रोड्स? Because we had some particular purpose in mind through which we were studying this complex reality. ठीक है. So out of all the given data, मैंने यहां पर क्या किया? I have taken few data. I have taken this Connaught Place, which tells me what? It is basically the CBD. ठीक है. It is essentially the CBD. In fact, अगर मैं इसमें और put up करूं, तो if you go here towards these areas, tell me, can we say this is पहाड़गंज? यहाँ पे पहाड़गंज मिलता है, एंड पहाड़गंज इज बेसिकली व्हाट? इट इज द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग जोन ऑफ दिल्ली, जहां पर स्मॉल स्केल मैन्युफैक्चरिंग होता है. एंड इज इट वेरी सिमिलर टू जोन 2 विच वी स्टडी इन द कंसेंट्रिक जोन मॉडल? ठीक है. सो द मॉडल इज डूइंग मी व्हाट? हेल्पिंग मी इन सेलेक्टिंग द डाटा and organizing the data according to the purpose that I have in my hand. ठीक है. So this is another very important role of the model. Then next, models also play a logical function. By helping to explain how a particular process or phenomena has come into being. ठीक है. So tell me, if the city has started to grow from here, from the center and outwards, there are various, if you talk about national highways which are passing through that. ठीक है. So city would have essentially began to grow here along these major arteries, and essentially what would have happened? Now can I say connecting them with the ring roads become what? It becomes an efficient form of transportation. Suppose this is one place and this is one place, A and B. If a person has to go from A and B, one route is this one, if there is no ring road. But presence of ring road, does it increases efficiency, reduces the total cost of transportation, efforts put in transportation. So that explains why this kind of land use has come into being. ठीक है. So that is basically the role of the model. So with all these aspects, what the model does? Models help in theory building. Thus models essentially help in theory building. ठीक है, अब इसमें स्पेसिफिक हो जाते हैं और स्पेसिफिक एग्जांपल्स लेके बात करते हैं. सो फर्स्ट, this can be further elaborated through the various types of models used in geography. So first बात करते हैं physical analog and scale models. Physical analog and scale models. So tell me, हमने एग्जांपल्स दिए थे फिजिकल एनालॉग स्केल मॉडल्स, वो फिर से यहाँ पर रिपीट किया जा सकता था. एंड आई वुड से दैट with this what happens, they help us in understanding the behavior or form of the system in hand, or form of the system in hand. For example, tell me, many, if you are aware, ये पढ़ा होगा शायद तुमने, many of the laws which we study in channel morphology, they were actually formulated on the studies which were done in Punjab, canal studies of Punjab, which was done by the Britishers. ठीक है, so that can be taken as an example. So many of the laws of channel morphology were formulated on the basis of study of canal designs done in Punjab, India. Now, if we talk about this physical analog scale models, there is also some limitations इसके respect में. So अब इसके respect में one of the major limitation that comes is with respect to the scale to be chosen. In using such physical analog and scale models, scale that is both temporal and spatial, temporal and spatial, can be difficult to choose, can be difficult to choose. ठीक है, some watershed processes can be easier to replicate. Some watershed processes can be easier to replicate. For example, impact on water on sediment particles, impact of water on sediment particles. But others can be very difficult. But others can be very difficult. For example, the impact of vegetation in holding the sediments. The impact of vegetation in holding the sediments. Also, there is this question of temporal scale variability. Also, there is question of temporal scale variability. Temporal scale variability. ठीक है, इसका मैं एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल दूं तो we will later study in geomorphology about the cyclic and non-cyclic models of study. ठीक है? So when we are talking about the cyclic landform evolution, वहां पर हम क्या देखेंगे? There is application of decay equilibrium. So ये डेविस का मॉडल है. तो जहां पर हमारा स्केल बड़ा हो गया, ठीक है, तो वहां पर क्या हो रहा है? डीके इक्विलिब्रियम का मतलब यहां पर सिंपली ये है, बाद में भी हम समझेंगे, बट एट दिस पॉइंट यू जस्ट रिमेंबर द हाइट ऑफ द लैंडफॉर्म इज ऑल्सो changing as well as the shape of the landform is also changing. ठीक है? Both the things are taking place. That means the height is also changing as well as the shape of the landform is also changing. अगर डेविस पढ़ा है तो you might be aware about the slope decline model. तो डेविस के मॉडल में क्या होता है? ऐसा होता है, initially the slope was steeper, but later what happens? Slope is declining. So here what is taking place? Height of the landform is also reducing and the shape, the slope angle is also changing. But this हम बाद में देखेंगे, this would occur only when the time period is large enough, cyclic time period. ठीक है? When we are talking about smaller time periods like the dynamic time or the graded time, तो वहां पर कौन सा मॉडल लगता है? It is the dynamic equilibrium model. Dynamic equilibrium model of J.T. Hack. ठीक है? So dynamic equilibrium model का डायग्राम इस तरह से बनता. So what dynamic equilibrium simply says that there is no change in shape. What is only changing? There is reduction in the height of the landform. ठीक है? That is basically dynamic equilibrium. तो हैक क्या कहता है? देखो सिंपल सा है कि सपोज ये लैंडफॉर्म था, ठीक है, हैक सेज कि देयर इज इक्वल अमाउंट ऑफ मटेरियल रिमूव्ड फ्रॉम एवरी पार्ट ऑफ द लैंडस्केप. ठीक है, everywhere, from everywhere same amount of material is removed. So if from everywhere same amount of material is removed, can I say that the shape would remain conserved? Yes or no? So shape will remain thus conserved. But ये मॉडल किस टाइम पीरियड में लगता है? इन शॉर्टर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. नाउ थिंक, अगर यही चीज, द सेम फिनोमेना continues to take place over long period of time, ठीक है, then suppose this was the sea level, what will be happening with the overall height of the landform? It will be much reduced, and if it is much reduced, will the factors like temperature, precipitation, all those factors would be changing or not? चेंज हो जाएगा. फॉर एग्जाम्पल सी लेवल से इतना जाएंगे तो टेम्परेचर कम होगा, इस हाइट पे, यहां पर टेम्परेचर क्या होगा? बढ़ जाएगा. ठीक है, तो इफ द क्लाइमेट इज चेंजिंग, दैट मीन्स व्हाट विल आल्सो चेंज? द प्रोसेसेस विल आल्सो चेंज. एंड इफ द प्रोसेसेस आर चेंजिंग, डज दिस मीन्स दैट द शेप ऑफ द लैंडफॉर्म कैन आल्सो चेंज? ठीक है, so can you see what is the problem? The scale problem, the time scale problem is a big factor. Once we are taking a smaller time scale, then the result is different. Then in smaller time scale, the result which we are getting for the same landform is dynamic equilibrium. But as soon as we change the temporal scale to a cyclic time, then we are finding that there is application of decay equilibrium. ठीक है? So they might not approximate with reality. That is one of the problems that we find in such models. Then if you talk about, another was conceptual. Conceptual models. And if we talk about conceptual models, अभी हमने देखा था one of the biggest problem in conceptual model is that their approximation approximation with the real world situations might be too vague. With the real world situations might be too vague. As a result, their empirical validity is difficult to prove. And what was the definition of theory? Theory is something which was empirically verified. ठीक है, so this is a problem. हमने वो जो एग्जाम्पल लिया था हीट बजट का, कैन वी से कि जब तक हमने उसमें नंबर्स नहीं डाले तब तक उसको अर्थ के हीट बजट से वेरीफाई करना, वी कुडंट से कि इट इज द हीट बजट ऑफ अर्थ वी आर टॉकिंग और वेनस वी आर टॉकिंग. ठीक है, so empirical verification of such conceptual models can be difficult, and this has been the reason why geographers have done what they also combined conceptual models with the mathematical models. ठीक है, मैथमेटिकल मॉडल्स के एग्जांपल हमने दिए थे पहले ही. नाउ लिमिटेशंस मैथमेटिकल मॉडल्स के क्या हो सकते हैं? If you have to criticize this, because question is asking critically examine. Come on yaar. Can we say there will be various type of criticism? जो सारे quantitative revolution में criticism पढ़ते हैं वो mathematical models के ही होते हैं. ठीक है, can we talk about all those criticisms? For example, can we say there will be humanistic criticism of such models? So what mathematical models are doing? Can we say they are dehumanizing geography? ठीक है, they are essentially involved in the dehumanization of geography. Why? Because can we say such models would neglect the normative behavior of the human beings because they cannot be quantified? ठीक है, such models neglect the normative behavior of the human beings as they cannot be quantified. Then there is a radical Marxist criticism of such models. ठीक है, and what is the radical Marxist criticism of such models? Harvey is highly critical of such models, and he says that these models, what they do, they focus upon, इसको लिख लो, according to Harvey, such models focus upon few processes to the neglect of other relevant processes which might be more crucial to development of geography or geographical theory. ठीक है, अब इसका एक एग्जांपल लेते हैं. Here we were talking about the concentric zone model. ठीक है, now in this concentric zone model, a model builder or a system builder, what he does, he formulates a model and ultimately he becomes satisfied. According to Harvey, वो क्या हो गया, वो satisfied हो गया इस मॉडल को बिल्ड करने के बाद. But can I say there were more relevant questions which were never asked by this type of modeling? Like very important relevant questions, why there is so much inequality? Why there is zone 2 where people are living in the slums? And how that has come into being? So such type of modeling, what it does, mathematical modeling particularly, it doesn't goes into the theoretical reasonings of various phenomena. And thus what it does, it neglects the root cause of the phenomena which are there. Why the such kind of system is there? Such kind of system is outcome of the capitalistic system. Okay? So ultimately it doesn't provides any solution. And because it doesn't provide any solution, geography wouldn't be able to become a theoretically applied discipline. Okay? What it is in fact doing, it is promoting status quo. ये क्या कर रहा है? ये दिखा रहा है कि ऐसा ही होता है. This is a law. ठीक है? And ultimately, if it is a law, then inequality is what? It is given. It is natural. ठीक है? So such modelings, what they essentially are doing, they are playing this role. So लिख लो इसको. Harvey believes that mathematical models promote status quo, and in fact validate the existing socio-economic problems. Full stop. It doesn't explain the causes, comma, particularly structural causes of such phenomena. Full stop. Thus, geography is unable to develop solution based applied theories. ठीक है? So that is one. Then एक मॉडल हमने देखा था नॉर्मेटिव डिडक्टिव मॉडल्स. सो नॉर्मेटिव डिडक्टिव मॉडल्स का बेसिक क्रिटिसिज्म क्या है कि सच मॉडल्स आर न्यू पॉजिटिविस्टिक as they include only some aspects of the behavior while neglecting other aspects of the behavior, while neglecting others. ठीक है? सो कहने का मतलब है कि these are also nothing but they were just trying to improve upon what was there in the mathematical models. And what they are trying to do, just by including behavior, they are trying to provide validity to modeling, which is essentially not true, because when we are talking about human beings have more variability than it is acknowledged by the normative deductive models. ठीक है? फॉर एग्जाम्पल इसमें कुछ एक आध एग्जाम्पल देता हूं. लाइक टेल मी, एक ह्यूमन एजम्पशंस और ह्यूमन बिहेवियर एजम्पशंस हैं जिस पे हफ मॉडल बेस्ड है. ठीक है? तो देर आर सेवरल एजम्पशंस. लाइक वन ऑफ द एजम्पशंस इज दैट it is behavior of people to try to minimize the work done. try to minimize the work done. That means they will, suppose they have to go somewhere, what they will do, they will travel the shortest distance possible. ठीक है. अब यहां पर हमने क्या किया, एक assumption ले लिया, but अब इस assumption में can we say there can be various other factors, like for example, suppose there is this city A and there is this city B, there is this village V. अब इस विलेज से दोनों सिटीज में सेम सामान मिल रहा है, ठीक है, बट यहां से जो पर्सन है वी, उसके लिए लॉजिकली कहां पे जाना चाहिए, ए पर, ठीक है. दैट इज लॉजिकल अकॉर्डिंग टू assumption, दिस इज विल बी डन बाय द पर्सन. बट टेल मी, कैन आई से कि देयर कैन बी सेवरल अदर फैक्टर्स, लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल हो सकता है कि बी में उसकी गर्लफ्रेंड रहती हो, ही विल गो टू बी, वाई विल गो टू ए, ठीक है. So when it comes to human behavior, there is lots of variability which is not acknowledged in such generalized normative behavioral models. ठीक है. So again, what happens as a result? They are far away from reality. ठीक है. Despite one thing we can say, despite this criticism, can we say modelings in geography, it has been very very helpful. And particularly mathematical modeling जब से आया, theoretical modeling, conceptual mathematical modeling, what it has done, it has helped in geography becoming, particularly human geography becoming a theoretical discipline. ठीक है. क्वांटिटेटिव रिवोल्यूशन से पहले व्हाट वाज द नेचर ऑफ ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी, इट वाज ए थ्योरेटिकल. ठीक है. मॉडलिंग वाज आल्सो यूज्ड इन फिजिकल ज्योग्राफी इवन बिफोर दिस पीरियड. ठीक है. तो कैन वी से फिजिकल ज्योग्राफी वाज एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ दैट थ्योरेटिकल. बहुत सारी थ्योरीज हम पढ़ते हैं फिजिकल ज्योग्राफी में और वो बहुत पहले से हैं. So why? Because modeling was part and parcel of physical geography from long time. But when in human geography modeling कब आया? It came during the period of quantitative revolution. And with that, what has happened? One thing we can say that it has helped geography to become a more theoretical discipline. ठीक है. It changed the characteristic of geography. So that is one of the contribution of modeling. And even today बहुत सारे utilities हैं modeling के. For example, tell me, today when we are talking about climate change, are we using models to predict the future changes which will be taking place? ठीक है. And to devise mitigation efforts. ठीक है. So definitely even today there is lots of utility of modeling. So that is basically how you will be writing. Now coming to central place theory of Stoller and Losch. अब यहां पर एक बात समझ लो पहले ही, central place theory is basically what? It is a theory. What it tries to do? It tries to explain the hierarchy of settlements which will be found in a particular area. ठीक है. सेंट्रल प्लेस थ्योरी क्या कहता है कि देयर विल ऑलवेज बी अ हायरार्की ऑफ सेटलमेंट्स फाउंड इन अ पर्टिकुलर एरिया. दैट इज द बेसिक एस्पेक्ट ऑफ द सेंट्रल प्लेस थ्योरी. अब ये हायरार्की कैसी होगी? This is explained by two models which are given in our syllabus. One is that of Christoller and the other one is given by Losch. ठीक है. So ये difference बहुत clear करना है. Okay. So let us see, attempt question number 4. Central place theory provides a functional conception of urban hierarchy. Comment. देखो ये जो 2 मिनट मिलते हैं ना, ये तुम्हारे लिए लाइफ चेंजिंग हो सकते हैं इफ यू आर यूजिंग these 2 minutes properly. They'll help you develop those skills which are actually required in the examination. ओके, तो सबसे पहले अगर मैं क्वेश्चन को पढ़ रहा हूं, तो इट इज सेइंग सेंट्रल प्लेस थ्योरी. इज इट एनीवेयर सेइंग सेंट्रल प्लेस थ्योरी ऑफ क्रिस्टोलर? इट इज नॉट सेइंग एनीथिंग सच दैट. इसका मतलब कि दोनों के बारे में लिखना पड़ेगा, क्रिस्टोलर का भी लिखना है और लॉश का भी लिखना है, कि हाउ व्हाट टाइप ऑफ फंक्शनल अर्बन हायरार्की इट इज टॉकिंग अबाउट, फंक्शनल कंसेप्शन ऑफ अर्बन हायरार्की. अब यहां पर फंक्शनल कंसेप्शन ऑफ अर्बन हायरार्की, does it means that there can be other conceptions of urban hierarchy भी हुए हैं? Like for example, tell me, primate city classification, it is a conception of urban hierarchy, but it was just based upon the criteria of population. ठीक है? So what central place theory is doing, it is taking more meaningful criteria to devise the urban hierarchy than it was taken by the other classifications like the primate city classification. ठीक है, तो यहां पर मुझे यही प्रूव करना है कि हाउ इट इज बेस्ड अपॉन सम फंक्शनल कंसेप्ट्स. ठीक है, सो if I am writing this, I'll start with an introduction and I'll say that central place theory visualizes the settlement hierarchy, settlement or urban hierarchy. Always use the terms which is used in question. So urban hierarchy visualizes the urban hierarchy based upon functional concepts, based upon some functional concepts. Main body. ठीक है, अब मेन बॉडी में आएंगे तो फर्स्ट थिंग व्हाट विल डू, विल टॉक अबाउट दैट हाउ central place theory, what it does first. Can we say that it talks about some fundamental principles and derived principles? It is based upon some principles and out of that some derived principles. And most of these derived principles are basically what? These are several functional conceptions or functional concepts. फंक्शनल कंसेप्ट्स. ठीक है, सो अगर हम बात करें तो प्रिंसिपल्स कौन से हैं जिस पर बेस्ड है ये? इट इज अ क्लासिक एग्जांपल ऑफ डिडक्टिव थ्योरी जो हमने बात की थी. तो सेंट्रल प्लेस थ्योरी पहले क्या करता है? इट टेक्स टू यूनिवर्सल लॉस. कौन से दो यूनिवर्सल लॉज हैं? प्रिंसिपल ऑफ सेंट्रलिटी एंड प्रिंसिपल ऑफ हायरार्की. ठीक है, so these are the two laws on which it is based, and on the basis of that it formulates 6 derivative principles. ठीक है, 6 functional derivative principles. and ये 6 functional derivative principles कौन से हैं? Anyone who has the confidence to stand up and recite all the 6 in one go, है किसी के पास दम? यही होता है एग्जामिनेशन में. व्हेन इट कम्स इन द एग्जामिनेशन यू विल कीप ऑन थिंकिंग कि वो 6 कौन से हैं. अल्टीमेटली यू विल बी लूजिंग टाइम. देयर इज वेरी हाई पॉसिबिलिटी कि 6 वो याद भी ना आए. ठीक है. एटलीस्ट लिखना तो है ही है, भले ही स्टार डायग्राम बना करके लिख दूं, बट आई विल बी राइटिंग. So what these are? One is the concept of central places. So which were these? Concept of central places. What are central places? These are the settlements which provide services to their complementary area. ठीक है. Then there is concept of, or you can simply say central goods and services. What are the central goods and services which are provided by the central places to their complementary area? Then third is the range of goods and services. What is the range of goods and services? Till what range or till what distance that good and service is able to attract customers. That is the range. Then there is threshold of goods and services का threshold है. ठीक है. Concept of threshold. Then there is concept of centrality, या फिर उससे पहले concept of complementary area. And the sixth is the concept of centrality. So in this answer what I will be doing, I will be writing all of these सब पे एक एक लाइन, ज्यादा नहीं, just one line of what they represent. ठीक है. Then I will say that ultimately two models have been presented to represent urban hierarchy. So one model is that of Christoller and the other one is that of Loschk. So what is essentially the model of Christoller? अब देखो मैं थोड़ा सा समझाता हूँ इसको, so that your understanding is better with it is a very complex, most मुझे लगता है सबसे difficult model है हमारे syllabus का. So Christoller, what he does, his approach is different from that of Loschk. ठीक है. So how his approach is different from that of Loschk? First important thing, his approach की अगर हम बात करें तो is the least cost approach. ठीक है. So Christoller का जो मॉडल है, we can simply call it as what? It is a classical model. इस तरह के मॉडल्स को हम बोलते हैं क्लासिकल मॉडल. ठीक है. या क्लासिकल अप्रोच पर बेस्ड है. एंड क्लासिकल अप्रोच क्या कहता है? खर्च को कम करो, लीस्ट कॉस्ट, एंड देन बाय दैट व्हाट विल हैपन, द प्रॉफिट और द एफिशिएंसी वुड बी इंक्रीजिंग. ठीक है. So they are more concerned with the supply side rather than the demand side of the economics. So that is the first very basic idea of Christoller. Then Christoller also wants a more, he visualizes a more simplified, he visualizes a more simplified urban hierarchy. ठीक है. Since he is visualizing a more simplified urban hierarchy, इसका मतलब क्या है कि for him, एंड ये जो है इसी का आउटकम है, he talks about a monofunctional hierarchy. जो वो मॉडल प्रेजेंट करता है, it is essentially what? A monofunctional hierarchy मॉडल प्रेजेंट करता है. ठीक है. यानी कि क्रिस्टोलर ने 3 सर्विसेज ली हैं. वन इज मार्केटिंग, ट्रांसपोर्ट एंड एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, ठीक है। एंड फॉर ईच ऑफ दीज व्हाट ही इज डूइंग, ही इज प्रेजेंटिंग अ डिफरेंट हायरार्की, ठीक है। तो ट्रांसपोर्ट की हायरार्की अलग है, मार्केटिंग की हायरार्की अलग है, एंड एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की हायरार्की अलग है, ठीक है। नाउ फर्दर, while formulating his hierarchy, he is also taking some other functional ideas. Mainly he wants to achieve what? Economic efficiency को achieve करना चाहता है, which is essentially what? Profit increase हो, that is economic efficiency, ठीक है। And what does this economic efficiency demands? Economic efficiency का demand ये है कि there should be least number of CPs as much as possible, ठीक है, that is one. Second is the hierarchy of CPs central places is also not very tall, ठीक है, it is also what? It is limited, ठीक है। तो अब इसका हायरार्की का एक एग्जांपल दूं, तो सपोज देयर इज अ स्मॉलर लेवल सिटी A, above that a bigger level city is present in the hierarchy B, and above that there is even a bigger level hierarchy city C. So this is suppose the urban hierarchy, ठीक है। सपोज A में क्या प्रोवाइड किया जा रहा है, वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट मार्केटिंग, ग्रोसरीज आर बीइंग मार्केटेड एट A, ठीक है। नाउ बी में भी क्या होगा, बी इज स्पेशलाइज्ड, और बी का स्पेशल है यहां पर टेक्सटाइल्स आर बीइंग सोल्ड, एंड हियर सपोज ऑटोमोबाइल इज बीइंग सोल्ड, ठीक है। नाउ टेल मी कि अगर व्हाट क्रिस्टोलर इज सेइंग कि द हायर लेवल central places would also behave as the lower level central places, ठीक है। यानी कि यहां पर टेक्सटाइल के साथ साथ क्या प्रोवाइड किया जा रहा है, ग्रोसरीज आर ऑल्सो बीइंग प्रोवाइडेड। हियर देयर इज टेक्सटाइल प्लस groceries are being provided. So with this what happens, a more efficiency is achieved. अब इसको समझना है तो you'll have to look into this diagram. You see this diagram. Now tell me, can you see यहाँ पर बहुत सारे छोटे छोटे central places हैं? Like, can you see this is one complementary area of this small central place? Yes or no? And it is competing with these other smaller central places at the located at the same level of hierarchy? Yes or no? ठीक है। अब मुझे ये बताओ कि these are meshed into bigger central places. Can you see? और ये भी एक बड़ा, उससे भी बड़े लेवल का सेंट्रल प्लेस, सो दे आर मेस्ड इनटू ईच अदर, ठीक है। सो सपोज हम इसको मान लेते हैं, ये छोटा, सबसे छोटा था ग्रोसरी वाला, ठीक है। नाउ टेल मी, दिस इज द हाईएस्ट लेवल सेंट्रल प्लेस in this diagram. Now if this central place also doesn't provides grocery, can we say that एक और छोटा central place बनाना पड़ेगा हमें इस एरिया को काटर करने के लिए? Yes or no? So what is happening, all the higher level central places are also behaving as the lower level central places, ठीक है। And this makes the hierarchy, this reduces the hierarchy, otherwise the hierarchy will become quite bigger, and the lower the hierarchy, better will be the efficiency in the urban hierarchy according to क्रिस्टोलर, ठीक है। सो ये बेसिकली क्रिस्टोलर के कुछ आइडियाज हैं, और यहां पर वो क्या बात करता है, मार्केटिंग, ट्रांसपोर्ट और एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन. सो मार्केटिंग में जब बात करता है तो देर इज ही डिफाइंस एन एफिशिएंसी क्राइटेरिया. एफिशिएंसी क्राइटेरिया, ठीक है. सो मार्केटिंग का एफिशिएंसी क्राइटेरिया क्या कहता है? द एफिशिएंसी क्राइटेरिया ऑफ मार्केटिंग सेज दैट with time the lower order central places would become competing central places. ठीक है, would become competing central places. Tell me, can we say marketing is a smaller level activity? क्या कह सकते हैं कि मार्केटिंग में the investment which is required in marketing is less? Yes or no? So such lower investment, can it be done by the lower order central places as well? So with time क्या होगा? With time they would also become a competing centers. ठीक है. So if they are becoming a competing centers, जो ये वाला क्राइटेरिया था एफिशिएंसी का, can we say this criteria would be violated? Within the same complementary area there will be too many central places providing the same service. That would mean inefficiency. ठीक है. So he does his calculations of probability and finds that in marketing efficiency would be achieved when k is equal to 3. And how it is achieved? That there is 1 plus 1/3 of the complementary area is captured of the surrounding 6 central places, then it would be achieved, and thus it would become 3. So basically so these initially were the central places which were competing with each other. अब इस सेंट्रल प्लेस में से एक ने क्या करना शुरू कर दिया? मार्केटिंग सर्विस प्रोवाइड करना शुरू कर दिया. ठीक है. So now it has become a bigger central place. So what it would do? It would capture 1/3 of the complementary area of the surrounding central places. अब जब 1/3 of the complementary area of the surrounding central places is being captured, you have to remember ये भी क्या है? You have to remember here that these are also smaller level central places. ठीक है. All these are smaller level central places. So these are उससे बड़े लेवल के सेंट्रल प्लेसेस हैं. ठीक है. So he finds that when 1/3 of the complementary area of the surrounding central places is captured, then only what happens? Least number of surrounding central places are present in the, or lower level central places are present in the complementary area. And then only what will happen? There will be in future, as change occurs, there will be least inefficiency in the system. तो यहां पर अगर मैं कैलकुलेट करूं तो कितने हो रहे हैं? 6, these are 6 and these are 6. ठीक है, जो लोअर लेवल के सेंट्रल प्लेसेस हैं. तो टोटल यहां पर कितने हो रहे हैं? फ्यूचर में अगर बढ़ते भी हैं, दे आर ऑल्सो बिकमिंग कॉम्पिटिटिव सेंटर, तो मैक्सिमम कितने होंगे? 12. ठीक है. अभी मैं ट्रांसपोर्टेशन में दिखाऊंगा, इट विल बी एक्चुअली 12, इट विल बिकम 18 देयर. ठीक है. सो दिस इज द एफिशिएंसी क्राइटेरिया ऑफ मार्केटिंग. ट्रांसपोर्टेशन में क्या होता है? इट इज वेरी सिंपल. सपोज ये दो प्लेसेस हैं. ठीक है. सो दिस इज सिचुएशन ए, this is the same places and situation B. Now tell me, this is one way of connecting these three places. This is one way of connecting these three places. Tell me, which one do you think is more efficient system, A or B? It is B. विच विल बी मोर एफिशिएंट सिस्टम। ठीक है, इसमें जो मेन प्लेसेस हैं, कैन वी से ऑल ऑफ देम आर इन द मेन ट्रांसपोर्टेशन आर्टरी। ठीक है, सो दिस वन इज अ मोर एफिशिएंट सिस्टम। सो ट्रांसपोर्टेशन में क्या हो रहा है, एफिशिएंसी क्राइटेरिया चेंज हो जा रहा है। व्हाट इज द एफिशिएंसी क्राइटेरिया इन ट्रांसपोर्टेशन? द एफिशिएंसी क्राइटेरिया बिकम्स दैट most of the central places are located on the main transportation arteries. That becomes the efficiency criteria in the transportation principle. ठीक है, अब मैं इसको यहां पर लगाऊं तो remember that these were also the, ये मक्खी को आई ऐसी बनना है जी। Remember that these were also the smaller level central places. ठीक है, ये सभी central places हैं। Now tell me, can we say कि अगर rather than this, if we capture half of the complementary area of the surrounding central places, can we say more number of central places are located on these green lines compared to this one? Yes or no? So can you see this one also, here also, this also? All these are located on the main transportation lines. So for Christoller, what happens? This become a more efficient kind of system. ठीक है, so 10 अगर मैं अब इसमें कैलकुलेशन करूं, that means half is captured, so k is equal to 1 plus half into 6 and this would be 4. ठीक है, अब इसी को अगर हम पिछले वाले से कंपेयर करें तो कैन यू सी, अगर इसको कैलकुलेट करोगे तो जो छोटे लेवल के सेंट्रल प्लेसेस हैं, देयर विल बी टोटल 18 सेंट्रल प्लेसेस विद इन द कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री एरिया। ठीक है, दैट इज व्हाई इन मार्केटिंग प्रिंसिपल इट वाज नॉट हाफ कैप्चर्ड, बिकॉज वहां पर क्राइटेरिया क्या था, कम से कम छोटे लेवल सेंट्रल प्लेसेस आर विद इन द कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री एरिया, बिकॉज दे आर गोइंग टू बिकम फ्यूचर कॉम्पीटिंग सेंटर्स। So that is why there he takes 1/3 and here the criteria is different. Criteria is this, that most of the central places should be located on the main transportation routes, and thus he finds that it is better when it is half captured. ठीक है, फिर उसके बाद एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में क्राइटेरिया क्या होता है? एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव क्राइटेरिया इज वेरी सिंपल, द बाउंड्री शुड बी क्लियरली डिफाइंड। ठीक है, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट क्या है, द बाउंड्रीज आर क्लियरली डिफाइंड। यू माइट हैव सीन मेनी टाइम्स पुलिस स्टेशंस आर फाइटिंग, दिस केस इज नॉट ऑफ माय एरिया बिकॉज मे बी द बाउंड्री इज नॉट क्लियरली डिफाइंड। ठीक है, so that is very important for administration, and Christoller says that this would be happening when the entire 6 of the surrounding complementary areas are being captured. ठीक है, so in that case what happens, k is equal to 1 plus 6 is equal to 7, k becomes 7. K is basically the complementary area. So this is the basic idea of the Christoller's central place theory. Or can we say that it is entirely, it establishes a hierarchy which is based upon what? It is based upon functional concepts. ठीक है, which type of functions it is taking? Function, it takes the city as monofunctional. ठीक है, so it provides a monofunctional hierarchy of the cities. तो ये है क्रिस्टॉलर का आइडिया, बट इसमें बहुत सारी प्रॉब्लम्स हैं। दैट इज व्हाई लॉश्क हैज आल्सो गिवन हिज ओन कंसेप्शन ऑफ सेंट्रल प्लेसेस। अब लॉश्क क्या कहता है? एक ही सीपी होगा ना, कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री एरिया, एक सीपी की बात करें, वो तो बढ़ जाएंगे, लेकिन वहां पर क्राइटेरिया डिफरेंट है ना। ठीक है, सपोज एक इफ यू टॉक अबाउट, कैन वी से कि मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, अगर मेरे पास मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इंडस्ट्री है तो वहां पैसे बचाने का तरीका अलग होगा, यस और नो? if I am working in a service industry, if I have a service industry, their saving of money will be done in a different manner. ठीक है? So the nature of activity defines the way you will achieve profit. क्योंकि उसका क्राइटेरिया क्या है, उसका अप्रोच कौन सा था, सेविंग. ठीक है, वॉज हिज अप्रोच. अनलाइक हिम, लॉस्ट का अप्रोच इज टोटली डिफरेंट. व्हाट इज द अप्रोच ऑफ लॉस्ट? आलोक, ये बंद हो गया. The approach of LOSC is that it is based upon revenue maximization approach. So it is more of a modern theory, which is essentially based upon a revenue maximization approach. ठीक है? So revenue maximization approach का मतलब क्या है कि it is more based upon the demand. So wherever the demand is there, if you go towards the demand, then what will happen? You can do any activity if you are located near the demand. ठीक है? So suppose this is the main market. As we go away from the market, what happens with the demand? It declines. So whatever be the activity, whatever be the cost, if you are located near the market, then what will happen? You will be essentially able to achieve greater profits. ठीक है? So his approach is different from that of Christoller. He also takes, तुमने पढ़ा होगा कि he takes 150 goods and services, unlike the 3 services which have been talked about by Christoller. He also takes manufacturing into account. Basically what he does, his functional hierarchy, it is based upon the belief that most or multifunctionality is a rule. He believes that multifunctionality is a rule for Christoller. ठीक है? So that is another thing that is defined in his theory. Now, अब यहां पर देखो क्रिस्टोलर क्या कहता है. For LOSC, you remember this. For LOSC, can we say that higher you go in the hierarchy, the central places are becoming non-specialized? Yes or no? The central places are becoming more and more non-specialized. The higher you go, greater is essentially the non-specialization. ठीक है? इसका मतलब कि all the higher level central places will be which type? They will be non-specialized central places. ठीक है? This is for Christoller. क्योंकि क्रिस्टोलर के लिए क्या करना है, उसका सिंपल सा फंड है, कॉस्ट को सेव करना है. ठीक है? तो इसको अगर समझना है तो यू कैन जस्ट अंडरस्टैंड दिस फ्रॉम द पर्सपेक्टिव दैट सपोज आई स्टार्टेड गाइडेंस एज अ ज्योग्राफी ऑप्शनल कोचिंग. ठीक है? अगर सपोज करो कि मैं ज्योग्राफी ऑप्शनल के बजाय कोई और सब्जेक्ट पढ़ा रहा होता. ठीक है? लाइक सपोज आई वॉज टीचिंग कॉमर्स. कैन आई से कि ढूंढना पड़ता कॉमर्स के कुछ बच्चे मिल जाए. एंड ज्योग्राफी ऑप्शनल की जब सिचुएशन ये था कि पत्थर उठाओ फेंको, तो इधर इट यूज टू बी ज्योग्राफी का स्टूडेंट होगा या पबैड. देयर यूज टू बी सच काइंड ऑफ सिनारियोज व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड टीचिंग. So there was huge demand. What I'm trying to say, there was essentially huge demand. ठीक है? Suppose उसकी demand नहीं होती, then the only way viable for an institution to work was to become non-specialized. बहुत सारी चीजें पढ़ाओ. Then only if I maintain an infrastructure, then only I'll be able to get the cost back at least. ठीक है? So for Christoller, for maintenance viability of such higher order central places, what is important? That they become non-specialized. So that means all higher order central places will be non-specialized. But Christoller कहता है कि ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है, because if even a specialized central place is located near the demand center, then what will happen? It will be able to get good amount of profits. ठीक है. सो दैट मीन्स लॉश के अकॉर्डिंग on the same level there can be two type of central places which can be found on the same level of hierarchy. One can be the non specialized and other can be specialized central place. So rather than one type of central place as you go higher up which are non specialized, लॉस्ट के मॉडल में दो तरह के सेंट्रल प्लेसेस हैं. वन इज नॉन स्पेशलाइज्ड एंड द अदर वन इज स्पेशलाइज्ड सेंट्रल प्लेसेस. ठीक है. अब क्रिस्टोलर के सॉरी लॉस्ट क्या कहता है? लॉस्ट फर्दर सेज दैट बिकॉज ही बिलीव्स इन मल्टी फंक्शनल हायरार्की, तो उसने 150 गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज लिए एंड फॉर ईच ऑफ दीज 150 गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज what he has essentially done, he made the complementary area of each of these. और सपोज करो कि अब इसमें ये दो तरह के सेंट्रल प्लेसेस हैं. ठीक है. सो दिस वाज वन टाइप ऑफ सर्विस और गुड एंड दीज आर द टू टाइप ऑफ सेंट्रल प्लेसेस, स्पेशलाइज्ड नॉन स्पेशलाइज्ड. ठीक है. फिर उसने क्या किया, एक दूसरा गुड और सर्विस लिया and he tried to, or he allowed it to overlap the complementary area of this one with this. ठीक है. So यहां पर भी the same phenomena, there is presence of, with respect to that good and service, there are two type of central places, specialized non specialized at the same level of hierarchy. ठीक है. Then I can take, or he took another one and the same phenomena, specialized and non-specialized central places. So he drew complementary area of 150 goods and services, allowed them to overlap. What he did, he rotated the complementary area of all these 150 goods and services. ठीक है. रोटेशन का मतलब क्या है? He was trying to calculate probability. So he calculated the probability. Probability of what? Probability of the fact that there can be a situation where there is a possibility that the specialized central places can get concentrated in one sectors. ठीक है. And the non-specialized ones can get concentrated in other alternative sectors. ठीक है. अब मुझे ये बताओ, if specialized ones are getting concentrated in one sector, does it tells me that in these sectors there is high demand? Yes or no? Then only you can be specialized and still earn profit. ठीक है. So can we say these sectors would mean that there is high demand? On the other hand, where there is non specialized, इसका मतलब there is low demand, they have to become non specialized because यहाँ पर low demand है. And if they are selling only one thing, can we say that they will ultimately won't be able to get so much of revenue? सीधी सी बात है. So this is also low demand, this is also low demand. ठीक है. इसका सीधा मतलब है, कैन वी से दिस इज रिच सेक्टर Yes or no? And these would become what? The poor sectors. So what he finds, there is alternative sectors develop, rich and poor. ठीक है, अब इसमें भी देखो, समझने की कोशिश करो. सपोज देयर वॉज वन मेजर सेंट्रल प्लेस और यहां से ट्रांसपोर्टेशन आर्टरीज जा रही थी, लाइक दिस, which were connecting this central place. Now tell me, can we say the land which will be near to these transportation arteries, will it be more costly? Yes or no? And as you go away from these transportation arteries towards this, what will happen? The cost of land would be declining. So can we say कि यहां पर जो लोग रहने वाले होंगे, they will be mostly rich, and in between places would be resided by whom? Poor. ठीक है. So unlike Christoller hasn't taken the role of transportation routes in determining the settlement hierarchy or the urban hierarchy. ठीक है. But Losk, what he does, he very clearly takes the transportation routes also into account, how it would affect or modify the urban hierarchy. And also he takes into account how the urban hierarchy will be more multifunctional rather than monofunctional. Because monofunctionality we see in the world, it is an exception. Most of the cities of the world are basically which type? They are multifunctional in nature. Okay? So this is the functional base of the Christoller's, or sorry, Losch central place theory. So functional conceptualization of the central place theory done by Losch. ठीक है. सो यही चीज यहां पर बस एक्सप्लेन करनी थी कि हाउ इट इज बेस्ड अपॉन such type of functions, which is the kind of functionality which has been used by both of them. ठीक है. I will stop for today. I have very very important work today. So इसको हम कंटिन्यू करेंगे नेक्स्ट क्लास में. बाय दिस टाइम एक बात तुम लोगों को समझ में आ गया होगा कि थोड़ा सा रीडिंग बहुत जरूरी है क्लास से पहले. ठीक है, to ultimately get everything what we are doing in the classes. This topic was difficult, central place theory वाला, तो go through this. अगर नहीं समझ में आता है तो I'll explain again in the next class. ठीक है ना? But try to go through it, it will be very important. Then only we will be able to answer the other two questions which are there. Critically examine the central place theory of Losch and critically examine the contemporary relevance of the central place theory of Christoller. ठीक है? Okay, so we'll stop. Goodbye, take care.